In the age of COVID-19, flying privately could have more advantages than flying commercially, with passengers easily able to stay within their social bubbles on board. This is perhaps why Airbus corporate jets welcomed 6 orders of its latest A220 model on its very first day of sales. Airbus calls it an extra-large bizjet, but with significantly more interior space than large cabin aircraft from competitors Gulfstream and Bombardier Global, and according to ACJ, lower operating costs. It might be more accurate to call the 220 an entirely new class of private business jet. Before starting the video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to never miss out on any of our videos. The Airbus A220 now has a new brand option. The ACJ220 brings the type more firmly into the business jet segment. The 220 offers a flexible cabin catalog addressing the requirements of heavy and long-range business jet customers. Airbus and Comlux also announced the initial order for the type, with the first 2 frames now confirmed. Another 4 frames are confirmed by unnamed customers. Entry into service is planned for 2023. The ACJ220 makes the most of the 220 series' relatively wide cabin, which in turn is being dangled in front of potential buyers in a flexible cabin catalog, addressing the requirements of the heavy and long-range business jet categories. In the announcement, Airbus praises the efficiency and comfort of the new type. Based on its compelling market appeal, we see promising demand for this aircraft in the growing business jet market, says Benoit Deforge, president of Airbus Corporate Jets. The aircraft manufacturer claims the 220 offers 3 times the cabin size of competing business jets while reducing operating costs by a third. It has space for 8 to 18 passengers, depending on the configuration, and a maximum range of 5,650 nautical miles, 10,500 kilometers, about the range required to fly from London to Hong Kong. The distance is significantly above the existing Airbus A220-100 that the 220 is based on, but below many competing business jets. For comparison, the latest and largest aircraft of business jet manufacturer Gulfstream, the G700, offers a range of up to 7,500 nautical miles. The A220 was formerly known as the Bombardier CS100 until Airbus acquired the Canadian aircraft program in 2018. Airbus currently builds the A220 family in Mirabel, Canada, and Mobile, Alabama in the United States. For the interior configuration, Airbus partnered with Comlux based in Indianapolis. Comlux will be the exclusive provider of interior conversions for the first 15 ACJ220 deliveries, with 785-foot square floor space distributed over 6 wide VIP living areas. The ACJ220 will allow up to 18 passengers to work, share, dine, and relax. The catalog approach to the interior will allow for a more streamlined installation and delivery process, though generally once someone is paying for a private jet of this nature, a few non-standard items tend to make it into the design. The 220 will operate with a 6,000-foot altitude equivalence on board, and Comlux will provide a humidification system to further improve the in-flight experience. Airbus also touts the Ku-band Wi-Fi, offering as standard and other innovations such as electrochromatic windows and LED lighting. The cabin features multiple 55-inch screens on board, including one in the master bedroom and another for video conferencing in the office area. The jet has advanced soundproofing, a temperature control system, and an integrated cabin humidification system. Cabin air is refreshed every 3 minutes with one-way airflow, thanks to the unique combination of intercontinental range, comfort, extra space, and second-to-none economics. We're convinced the aircraft will be a winner in the business aviation market, said Richard Gauna, executive chairman and executive officer at Comlux. Despite its large interiors, the jet doesn't take up any additional parking space and will be able to take off from the same airports as other business jets. Airbus also says that it could reduce operating costs by a third compared to other long-range private aircraft. When we started analyzing, we realized that unfortunately, you can only have 2 out of 3 factors among cost, range, and space, says ACJ President Benoit Deforge. We asked ourselves, how do we find a platform, a product with no compromises that includes all 3? a more fuel-efficient engine, the PW1500G, a lighter airframe, and a flexible cabin catalog, which has more than 100 interior designs and reduces costs compared to kitting out a custom cabin. The 786 square foot interior is divided into 6 large living areas, and the layout can fit up to 10 fully reclining sleepers. Features such as a full-bar 55-inch 4K screens, an 8-seat dining table, a king-sized bed, and a private bathroom with a rain shower suggest just how sprawling the interior really is. With its 5,650 nautical mile range, the 220 can fly non-stop from Los Angeles to London or New York to Moscow. DeForge says the new BizJet is a very modern platform with the latest technology, including Q-band connectivity with twice the speed of current onboard Wi-Fi. The first pair of 220 aircraft are headed to Comlux's completions facility for interior fit-out later this year. The aircraft has an electrochromatic glass system that filters the light entering the aircraft. In addition, there is a high-efficiency HEPA air filter and the humidity control system. These systems also ensure a more relaxing flight. The ACJ220 is also an economical device for its category. Despite its size, Airbus has created a new spacious aircraft. On the other hand, it's 1/3 less expensive in operating costs than competing private jets in the long-haul range. Industry experts have suggested that demand will be strongest for narrow-body aircraft, particularly long-range versions such as the A321LR and A321XLR, as the industry recovers over the next few years. The thought is that they'll provide a more efficient way of handling reduced volumes of travelers. If that holds true, the mobile facilities portfolio of A320s and A220s would seem to put it in a good position. We know that after decades of growth, 220 will be the first real significant step down in aerospace, Taylor said. The effect clearly will be more long-lasting than those of the 2002 to 2004 SARS epidemic or the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, he said. Our view, and I think the industry's overall view, is it could be as late as 2024 or 2025, assuming vaccines and everything are in place in the next short period of time, before the industry recovers, he said. Why we think the single aisle is on the front end of that is because international travel certainly is the hardest hit. Domestic travel also is likely to rebound sooner, he said. The 220 and 320 in mobile, we have the right products, Taylor said. Even in a bad time, these are the products to be building. The flow line where A220s are assembled looks much like the line for A320s. Inside a cavernous hall, jetliners have lined up nose to tail. Each advances in turn through a series of stations where various stages of the assembly process are completed. One difference is that where the A320 moves through 4 stations, an A220 moves through 5. It may seem odd that the smaller, newer product has a more complicated path, but Paul Gaskell, president of the A220 program in mobile, said that it comes down to the maturity of the product. Airbus has been building A320 family jets since the late 80s, Gaskell said, and the final assembly line in mobile is the 4th for the program. Over the decades, the company has found ways to consolidate the process and make it more efficient. The A220 is much newer, so that hasn't happened yet. We have a lot more work content on the 220 than we actually do on the 320, and that's why we need 5 stations instead of 4, he said. But he predicted that as lessons are learned, eventually the A220 assembly process will more closely resemble that of the A320. Airbus still expects to deliver the first US-built A220 this year, but a date for that delivery has not yet been set. Does this offering bring about the end of the ACJ319? Much like with the commercial market, the 220 is a compelling competitor and delivers significant improvements in fuel efficiency and noise reduction over the prior generation. And while the interior space is not identical, it's a pretty comfortable footprint, and the range is nearly identical.